music. Hey, how you guys doing? It's producer from Brothascomics. Welcome to, it doesn't really have a name. We're the Marvel Hacks for sure, but it's kind of a little bit different. If you were here with us a couple of weeks ago, kind of just going through the minutia of kind of geekdom here as we've coming out of the pandemic. News is coming out, movies are coming out. There's all kinds of information. So if you're familiar with the old school version of this would just be like a long Blerd Notes. We're keeping this up, while Sandman's on the mend. Again, Sandman, shout out, bro. We miss you, man. We love you. Can't wait to get you back on the line tonight. It's the other Marvel Hacks. I'm going to do this without shouting Sandman's name out. It's Brother Beavis. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, everybody? And shout out to Sandman. We can't wait to have you back.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, for sure, man. Can't get to get you back. I know you're listening because you already told me. And also on the line is Big Hutch. What's going on, bro?
Hey, what's up? Sandman, DC Sandman. Yeah.
Yes. Well, yes. Well, Sandman is as big a DC Comics fan as Hutch is as well, and Brother Beavis and I are for sure. So we'll get this. Let's set the show. We got a lot of topics tonight we want to get to because there's so much that happened over the last couple of weeks. We're gonna recap What If, since it ended like 2 weeks ago now, maybe even 3.
It ended a long time ago.
Yeah, well, that's a different story. But we're going to recap the What If series. We're going to recap a little bit of DC fandom, and we're going to watch some trailers for a trailer react to see for Batman and for Flash. The other stuff was really kind of behind the scenes stuff, and I don't really want to see Dwayne Johnson talking about how he was born to play Black Adam. Also, we're going to talk about Marvel moving all of their movies down. The Eternals and the expectations as that movie had its world premiere or whatever the other night, and some early reviews have come out and some spoilers. And we're going to talk about, and I'm going to shout out Cyber Spectre on Twitter because they asked us to have their opinions on this article that was by another clickbait article. Yeah, it was another clickbait article to see about XMen #1, and we did that a couple weeks ago with the XMen artist clickbait article that came out. So we'll cover some of the same topics there, but I got a couple of curveballs for the boys here tonight. But yeah, man, before we get into this, y'all been watching anything? I was just thinking about this as I was, scrolling through Dark Side of the Ring this morning and finishing up Luna Vachon. And Brother Beavis, yes, Medusa is very hot as an old lady. Thank you very much for pointing that out. But have y'all been watching anything in particular? I know there's some nerd stuff out there, but anything else?
So I just finished up the small sample of Smoky Mountain Wrestling on the cock.
On the cock.
But beyond that, nothing like no consistent set of things. I did just make my daughter watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which I think deserves mentioning. But beyond that, some of the Mel Brooks stuff is now coming back streaming. So we watched Spaceballs recently, and I want to watch Young Frankenstein soon.
Okay.
But
yeah, keeping away from others. I'm not quite ready for a couple of those.
There's definitely one. Yeah.
Definitely not ready for that. No, I totally understand. I saw Monty Python and was on the other day, and I was like, my kids, man, your kid is young. You still can manipulate. My kids hate me, man. So they don't want to watch anything that I could watch. Like, there's nothing I can get them to watch anymore. So, yeah, it's all right. I failed as a father, basically.
No, that's what fathers do. Whatever dad does, kids do the opposite.
I guess, man.
Yeah, we saw a bumper sticker that said your mother's your mother smelled of elderberries and something along those lines. I can't even remember it offhand, but I started going into the line. She's like, I think she's like, what is your problem? What is wrong with you?
Where's this from?
No, it's this whole thing. So we won't watch it.
Trying to explain that to anybody.
Your mother was a hamster and your father smelled of elderberries. Sorry.
That's the attack of the ham. It was just on the other day on like A&E or something like that. All right, Hutch, you been watching anything?
Well, you mentioned it and you said it got canceled.
Why the X-Men?
Why the last man? Yeah. I started watching that. I was 2 or 3 episodes in, and shit, I guess it won't be episode 6 or 7.
Yeah, it's really weird that they're not even gonna run out the string, which is really weird. Usually at least will do that to play out the last few episodes. They ain't even gonna run it out.
They'll probably if there's some episodes that we haven't seen yet, they'll probably show up on Hulu or one of them side angle sites. I'm also watching the Squid Games because everybody else is watching
okay.
it.
Yeah, I mentioned a lot of talk about that. Go ahead. Yeah.
I can't watch that because like it's too popular already. Like my hipsterness come in, and I need to make a switch real quick.
There you go.
I was mentioning Big Hutch earlier. Like I have not yet started watching season 3 of Doom Patrol, which I've enjoyed the first couple seasons, but I haven't got back into that. So
okay, all right, yeah, that's gonna come up when we get to DC fandom. Nerd wise stuff outside of Dark Side of the Ring. I just you get to that point where you just start scrolling Prime or whatever. I just started scrolling Prime. And I ran across that Lorena Bobbitt documentary that Jordan Peele did.
Run across the Lorena Bobbitt.
Man, nigga, I was just scrolling and
the algorithm. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. I was just scrolling and it eventually came up. I was like,
Dark Side of the
okay.
Ring, getting your dangling cut off.
I don't know.
How does that match up?
I watch a lot of documentaries. It's a documentary, so it came up. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was 4 parts. Like each part was an hour or whatever.
Is that pun intended?
Yeah, I don't. And then, my wife gonna be watching this kind of stuff with me. So that's like, I got to get up at 5 a.m. and like finish it kind of stuff. And like, I just finished it literally like this morning. And like, the long story short, he was an asshole. Intended? And he deserved to get his dick cut off. I mean, that's pretty much it.
No, wait a minute. No, you don't deserve to get your dang. I mean, if that was the case, then there'd be a lot of mofos that would be castrated in this piece.
Well, maybe they should be. I mean, that's
like cancer culture. You're next.
He tortured and raped that woman for years, and she got fed up. That's it. Like, I mean, how is that any different than the burning bed? Honestly.
The burning bed.
Don't take the ass whooping. I mean, there's somebody's got a spare couch. Get out of abusive relationship. That's my PSA.
We mentioned last time the Claremont documentary. I would watch that, and I also have since watched. There's the Art of Dungeons and Dragons documentary. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Eye of the Beholder. I watched that. It was pretty good too. And then also, I think the Movies Prime That Made Us has another series out now. I actually haven't watched that as much as the Toys That Made Us, which is phenomenal. But the Movies That Made Us has a lot of good movies too. So the new season seems like it has a lot of cool stuff in it.
Yeah, I watched that. I watched this documentary on Hector Macho Camacho. Also, drugs, don't do them. That's basically it. Cut in, roll credits. That's basically it. But yeah, that's really been it. I haven't really seen too much recently. But as we get into that, let's jump into the whole show here. What if? My note has been saying, and I've been saying to y'all too, what if was good? Because that should have been something straight in our wheelhouse. That should have been something that we were talking about all the time. And it wasn't good, consistently good. There were good parts. My note here says, you know what this shit is? What if was? It was compilation porn. All right, so I'm gonna take some freaking parts of movies that I know that you like, and then I'm gonna splice it in with some shit that you don't like or don't care about. And I'm gonna give you that for 38 minutes and then be done with it. That's what it was. I remember all this stuff.
That's the What If series that I remember when we collected a couple of them.
Those books were terrible too.
Right, exactly. So it was right down the line.
There were a couple of them that I thought that were kind of cool, but for the most part, I didn't care if Black Panther became Star-Lord. Like that, it just was. I don't know, man. Why is freaking Marvel animation so far behind DC, brother? Why, man? Why?
That's a good question. I think DC has done. I think a better job of using the medium for what it's good for. And I have said in the past, like I think they should be locking up the actors for voice acting for stories to come in between. Like once they start doing Fantastic Four, like they could probably make a much better movie about the Negative Zone as an animated movie than they could live action. So I definitely think they should be using them together. But I think with DC, they've kind of taken some of the signature stories and just kind of put out, like, even if it's not true to the story, just have put out a good product, like good storytelling, good production, good art. It's the not at all mystical theory behind comics. You put a good team behind it, you tell a decent story, it's going to be a decent product. I just think DC has adhered to that more so than Marvel. And I think the individual episodes were hit and miss. I like the fact that they, the overarching story arc that came together. And but this, it could still be a story, a property that takes off. But yeah, first season didn't really like blow anybody away. But now I will say, I thought What If T'Challa Becomes Star-Lord was actually one of the best episodes, because I think it was so contrary to the mainline stories. And the other thing too is, it's now become clear that this series was kind of a send-off for him, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, the thing I like about the MCU Black Panther versus the more modern comics, like, so the more modern comic incarnation of Black Panther has been like, I'm going to pretend to be your friend, but then I'm just as likely to screw you over because Wakanda forever. Whereas in the movie, they really, I think, made him like, whereas he entered into the story in an aggressive mode and was consumed with revenge, he became the one that was like, is this really what the right answer is? And what does achieving my goals make me? Like, if I kill him, what does that do for me? And it really became like his just fundamental goodness kind of came out. And the story with him and What If was like, look at how that bled over and how he diffused all these, like, he made Thanos a reasonable guy, and he just he diffused all these things and made the multiverse like better just from his presence. And I thought that was just an amazing story in and of itself. And the story, with him being a thief and the collector coming back in, whatever, that was fine. But the overall theme of, like, just him having the opportunity to make the galaxy a better place, that I thought that was amazing. And the zombie one I thought was good. That was,
I like that one.
It was not, I didn't read those books, but that was a good retelling of it. Beyond that, there were some that were a complete waste. I like the Captain Carter one just because that's a great character design, but that was really just like, what if we swapped in Captain Carter for Steve Rogers and made the same damn movie? So there was a couple standouts, and I thought the overall arc was satisfying. The Black Widow arc, her individual stories I don't think were great, but the fact that they kind of made her pivotal and then re-injected her into the story in the way they could have with the MCU, but they're clearly not going to, given the lawsuit and whatnot. So yeah, the other thing I would say is,
it's settled already.
Yeah, the fact that that it was only about what we'd seen in the movies, and they didn't expand that. They didn't take the opportunity to show us anything that hadn't already been featured in the MCU. I think that's a big miss as well.
I definitely thought that, like you said, it was a little send off for Chadwick Boseman, which is fine. Obviously, that's a terrible situation, but I don't know. It just didn't do anything for me. It wasn't me waking up at 5. Well, I'm already up, but not like making sure I watch that before I go to work, before I get it spoiled on Twitter, like I did with all the other shows essentially at this point. And it was just like, I'll see it, or if I don't, I mean, it was just whatever. Hutch, I knew you were way behind there for a while, but what do you think?
I'm still behind there for a while.
Okay.
From what I saw, the Doctor Strange one, zombies. I mean, we collected the What If series. and the comic books, you know, it was, hey, that's interesting. You know, what would have happened? Oh, damn, it's fucked up if that's what happened. So, you know, that's kind of the series of comics too. I mean, yeah, most of them had kind of good endings in the comic books. I mean, the animated series, but yeah, it was all right. I'm still looking at a couple of them.
Yeah, the inherent down ending of all of them was a detractor for me as well.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, some of them were less like again with the T'Challa Star-Lord. I've been run from Black Panther hate before, and now I'm like,
you're making up.
You'll catch up.
But like, you know, that sort of the subtle hints that, you know, Eon was there, or Ego was there with Peter Quill. That subtle hint that it could be worse. I think some of those were more effective than others. It was uneven at best.
Yeah, at best. Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like, hey, we're bringing all the voice actors back. You know, the majority of them. Like, it just seemed like, but it just seemed. Well, I'm sure they gave them a lot of shekels to come back for that too. But like, it just, I don't know. I think there was an expectation on it. You know, and the things that had come before it were better, I guess. You know, the series that became, even though, you know, a little bit inconsistent on some of those too. I don't know. They did a great job with the Watcher. You know, was that Jeffrey Wright? Like, I thought he did a really good job with that character. You know, I think that was established, you know, really, really well. You know, the bringing back
that Thor one. Oh, that Thor one.
No, that was bad.
That was pointless.
The bringing back of, you know, Ultron, which I think is probably going to wind up in a live action movie at some point as well. You know, like, I get what they were trying to do, you know, to kind of make all the universes matter for, you know, well, did you see this because it was covered in that? Like, I get that part, but man, it didn't hit for me at all. So.
Ironically, this is the first Disney Plus product that doesn't feel like it expanded the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
right?
This was the ideal way to do that.
Yeah.
And so that's a little mystifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Thor one and like the Killmonger one, there were some episodes that just were there to set up the last two basically the last episode.
The end of it. I wasn't a fan. It's not something, you know, I'm gonna go back and watch this. Maybe I missed it because I was in the wrong mood. No, we're good. I think I'm straight. All right. If we're gonna leave what if the Marvel hacks tackled DC fandom? Before we get into this, how do y'all feel about one brand like comic booking? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Disney had D23 and now Disney has fandom. You know, everybody used to be at Comic-Con or whatever. Obviously COVID fucked everything up, but D23 was going on before COVID happened too. You know, like, what do you think about one brand fandom? Like, is that a good thing? Or, and this is my opinion, or does it increase the tension in between, like, you know, DC and Marvel people? Is like, you know,
don't forget the indies.
Yeah. Image Dome. I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Hellboy forever.
Yeah. So, like, what do y'all think about these one brand like comic conventions?
I mean, hey, that's your team. That's, you know, hey, I don't have no problem with it. But most comic book people, they cross streams, yo. If you know Batman, you know about the Hulk, you know Spider-Man, you know Wolverine. Right. If you're going before the internet, there were those great debates: who's stronger, Hulk or Superman? Who's smarter? Who's this and that? Now, I mean, that hasn't changed. See, everything is mixed up together.
I disagree. These new fans don't know shit. Because all they know is the freaking movies. They don't know anything like else. You know what I mean? Like the core audience of freaking AEW, WWE, they could put shit literally in the ring and people would still watch it. But like, they're not trying to just get the core anymore. They're trying to get that, you know, those people to cross over to watch the Super Bowl. No other football game for the rest of the year, but they'll watch the Super Bowl. That's what they're trying to get. And that's Like that audience
Well,
don't care about like, oh, did you see that time where DC and Marvel crossed over and they did these amalgam books that were fucking terrible? You know about that? No, okay. That they're not looking for that fan. They're looking for like, oh yeah,
well,
Henry Cavill was Superman and that's who I liked. So this is
so
what I'm getting.
you're what are you talking? I mean, fans that are under the age of 20, maybe they're all mixed into the movies. But if they're a little bit older than that, they got some history of comic books. They got something.
No,
They can't. They're not just. I mean, they're not just flopping around. I mean, had the Red Hood been in a movie? Has
no,
Black
we're gonna get
Adam
to
been in a
that in a
movie?
minute.
Right.
No,
They ain't been in movies, but
no, I
they kind of
understand.
know of them. They're. I mean, we go to our comic book stores. I mean, most of them people are our age, but there are some young people walking around that place.
They're rarer and rarer. Brother
Yeah.
Beavis, what do you think? One brand comic
Is
book.
that Brother Beavis still or Max
Oh
Hendricks?
yeah, I know the other Brother Beavis. It says.
We cross battle lines.
Oh, it's
So
DC. Yeah.
it's this story is playing out in the wrestling world right now. Comics and wrestling are marginal. Well, so not at the movie level, right? But for comics, the core product in wrestling are niche products, and
Mhm.
when you have the audience for those things, and you're creating an environment where you're encouraging, creating, or expecting them to choose from one versus the other,
Yes.
you're not even exposing an environment that's open to it to your product. So, and I think that's unfortunate, and I that may be an inherent kind of nature of the fandom, right? Like, so we kind of joke like, I hate DC. Well, no, Brother Beavis hates DC, but the other brave Brother Beavis is willing to review it, right? But like at the same time, I think as much as we shit on just about everything, I think we call good. What we like, and we don't we don't take a dump on stuff just because it's this or that, right? So in the wrestling world, like I continue to give whatever, WWX its chance, and I could never get through more than a couple minutes over the years, and I've written that off and never even returned, and I will watch
I think you
AEW now, and
froze.
I enjoy
Y'all
it for
all
what it is,
froze.
but it's not Mid-South, it's not Jim Crockett Productions, it's not WCW, it's none of that. And it's, I don't even know where I'm going with this, I'm just rambling at this point. So I will say that your question was, what about a product specific event? I do say, if San Diego Comic-Con, for example, was the way in which we unveiled these
No.
things, and you just ran and created your own product to go do that, like, I'll go create it. I think are we hitched up some way? So if your answer was to go like, I'm going to make my own show and show you my stuff there, then I'm not with that. I think I just lagged out of this whole podcast though, so we'll see how it goes.
I still hear you.
Okay, so maybe it's just a producer
Yes,
lag
yeah,
out.
I think.
So yeah, so the fact that they're, instead of being like San Diego Comic-Con where they go head to head and actually show everybody what's going on, if I'm going to go instead create the DC fandom and the Disney experience or whatever, then I don't necessarily think that's the answer.
Okay.
I think
Somebody
you got to
first.
play at least at both pools.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just that it just bothers me that like people not necessarily forced to pick, but like I don't know. It seems like, hey, we're gonna do this here. Like this is a direct attack on freaking what's it called? D23. Like, oh, we're gonna do our own thing now
Yeah.
too, you know. And what you said is true. Like we shit on a lot of things for sure. But if DC's movies were good, like that would make me really happy. Like oh shit, like these are really good movies. Like them competing against one another makes everything rise to the top. It's, I mean, again, we use a wrestling parallel. Once WCW went out of business, there was no reason to watch wrestling anymore because one show in town what does it matter? Like WWEF or whatever the hell is going to do whatever it's going to do. And that was no interest to any of us. So we didn't watch it for 20 plus years. So,
Yeah. And which is the chicken and which is the egg? Did the toxic fan culture fuel the corporate culture or vice versa?
Right. Yeah. And that's a very good question too. Okay. Well, we're going to watch a couple of trailers here. One of Hutch's favorite characters, which is the Flash. And then nobody's favorite character here, Batman.
I like Batman too.
He's fine.
Yeah, Batman is fine.
Okay. I'll save it for after the trailer. So we're gonna do share screen for once. That I'm gonna actually maybe get right off the first try. Look at that! Wow! All I can say is wow. It's for The Batman with Robert Pattinson, y'all. Watch, we'll get a commercial here, and we're gonna copyright it as well.
No sound, I guess. So we can just like mystery science theater 3000.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'll say, I think the trick with Batman is, has there been a Batman that has been a good Bruce Wayne and a good Batman?
Keaton.
That's probably that's where I kind of ended up too. And Pattinson looks fine as Batman, like he looks the part, but his Bruce Wayne looks like a hobo. His Bruce Wayne looks like a Batman villain to me.
Right. Yeah.
And the other thing too is, I don't like this whole I'm bulletproof. I don't need to dodge you. I just walk down the hall and get a hail of bullets on me, which we'll see earlier. I think that actually detracts from him. It's like, you could get shot in the face and there's a path between your face and your brain. Look at that. He looks like a Batman villain.
I really at first thought that was a villain.
Yeah.
Lisa Bonet's daughter is chef's kiss, y'all. Holy cow.
Who's better, the daughter or the mother?
They are the same face, sir.
They're not the same face.
They are the same.
They're not the same face.
Yeah. So
the daughter needs to eat.
Who is the Riddler in this? Is it the guy with the pockmarked face or what?
Yeah, I think so.
And is the Riddler a good villain? I mean, I don't know.
The Riddler on.
Yeah. See, here's the scene in particular. Like,
yes, he's bulletproof.
Yeah, if you're bulletproof, then what is the threat?
I
do it. Shoot toward the face, but yeah.
I admire that they didn't go to the Joker. In that regard, if that would have just been too much. But I also know you can't trust them. That they're gonna go straight to the Joker as soon as they can.
You got.
Have we reached a point with Batman where it's just like a 1 to 3 movie reboot for the rest of? I'm like, because they don't even pose it as a different take or a different vision within the same continuity. It never really grows. They kind of tread the same villains, not sequentially, but whatever. I mean, it just doesn't feel like there's progress with Batman in general.
Well, why? I mean, well, if what the producer said is true, then DC fans are dumb. So they just care about the movies only, and they all they tread out every 8 to 10 years.
Well, especially Batman. But one of my notes in here says there's nothing that you're going to see in a Batman movie, this one, that you haven't seen in any of the other ones. Like, there's no new ground for Batman. And the issue becomes, for me, and so you brought up Red Hood before and other ancillary Bat characters. We've been in all of these movies since freaking, not counting Nipplegate. Like, where's Robin? Where's Nightwing? Where's Red Hood? Like, you could have built out the whole Bat family and made a whole fucking Bat movie universe, but you still keep focusing on fucking Bruce Wayne. Like, enough. We've seen it, man. I'm done. There's no way in hell that there's anything in that movie. And that motherfucker is 3 hours long. Hell no. There's not a 3-hour Batman movie, sir.
There's not no one gives a rat's ass about Robin. He's been killed and no one cares. He's been,
That's fair.
Right. Batgirl, how she looked in the outfit, That's nice.
Well, you just waiting for her to get shot too in the back.
Right. So that's where they are with It's Batman. It's always going to come back to Bruce Wayne and Batman and Catwoman. Apparently, she's in everything.
Apparently, yeah. I got nothing. Before we get to the other trailer here, there was news. There's going to be a new. I think it already started. The new Young Justice season is already out on the HBO Max or whatever. Another season of Doom Patrol.
What's not on HBO Max? Everything.
Another season of another season of Titans, I think. But again, I haven't watched any of this shit. I haven't watched Young Justice since the reboot. Like it came back, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. And I watched the first few episodes, and I was out. It's just I got nothing for DC here. There's nothing that they premiered or talked about in this whole thing that I was like, oh, okay, that'll be kind of cool. I got nothing.
The challenge with Young Justice has been there's usually some time lapse between series, and they don't do a great job of filling in like what happened in between.
Yeah.
So they introduced a bunch of characters that if you know the comics, but they don't really kind of bring you up to speed. Yeah. And usually the storytelling is Claremont-esque, so it takes a while to get into it. And I don't know, I feel like in all the subsequent seasons, they've consistently sort of undermined the first season, which I think was really, really good.
Yeah.
I like Vandal Savage.
Yeah, I mean, he was the big bad in the first arc, and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
But then, they brought in the other Robins. They had the Nightwing evolution, and they won't they with Miss Martian and Superboy, and killed off. Spoiler alert! Killed off Kid Flash.
Yeah.
Then they brought in Impulse.
Right.
One of the worst characters ever.
Yeah. So it just, meh.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue. There was a Flash teaser trailer as well. On top of again, The Rock came. He was born to play Black Adam. Okay. And there was a Shazam, like kind of behind the scene thing or whatever. I saw the first one. I'm good. I don't need to see the second one. Love Zach Levy, but I don't really need to see that shit. As Black Adam does nothing for me. I know Hutch will be all over that, but
I like Black Adam.
I know you do. So let's look at this Flash teaser. I will also start this by saying I hate the dude that plays the fucking Flash. Can't stand. If that's a freaking thing, I can't stand that dude.
So I'm led to believe that they're a terrible person as well.
Yes, that is also true. I believe that is also to be the case. Oh crap. All right, how do I get out of this thing?
You go down to the bottom.
Yeah, the Nazi-looking symbol. Yeah, click on that.
Hey, good to know.
And then
all right, so there we go. Black Adam. Woo, The Rock.
And you just get right over it. Jeez.
Well, because it's like 4 minutes long. I don't want to sit through The Rock talking about it.
And that's like his worst promo ever. I watched that.
I agree.
Like,
yeah.
I've seen you bend like 20,000 people, like flip them from your best friend to your most hated enemy with 3 lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
And this was the most stilted, propped up thing I've ever seen in my life from him. I was like, who is this individual?
Yeah, and possibly because he already knows it sucks.
Well, I mean, he is the same character in every movie. I mean, granted, and hell, my dumb ass has seen him in damn near all those incarnations.
That's you.
Walking Tall. Fuck. What's all the other dumb shit?
I'm glad you're admitting that. I'm glad you're admitting that because the statute of limitation has run out. Because that's unacceptable, sir. Unacceptable.
Listen to you.
Yes, that's unacceptable.
We'll get some of your shit out here in a second.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
Let's watch your favorite character here.
I hope him and Rom come together.
Speaking of podcasts, we need to do.
Oh, yipes. Hey, talk to a real person about your mortgage.
Oh.
So is this Flashpoint or what? And this costume is terrible.
Well, it's better than the freaking.
Well, it's better than it's better than the Transformers costume, the Michael Bay Transformers costume he had to wear in his other incarnations.
He finally got his yellow boots in the TV series.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, this becomes a thing too. It's like, hey, Flashpoint is the story that he's known for, so let's jizz all over that early, and then you got nothing.
Yeah, this feels like the way the X-Men movies fucked up Dark Phoenix the first time.
Mm-hmm.
He looks scary looking.
Well, they're gonna cross over streams here. And you're gonna get Batman Affleck, Batman Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Wow.
And right on top of Spider-Man Multiverse and Doctor Strange and all that.
Yeah, but they're not biting.
No, I mean but they started this movie in 2012, as far as I know. So who's biting who? I mean, the Flash movie been coming out since we were in high school, as far as I know.
Damn.
Wow.
Hey, at least it's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, at least it'll happen. And there was like some Aquaman behind the scenes stuff. There was something on Twitter a few weeks ago. There was like post something essentially. I can't remember what the tag was or whatever, but I essentially said like all DC movies, DC extended movies, all of them are bad. They're just at different levels of bad, which makes you think some of them are good, but they're all bad. There's not one DC extended universe movie that I'll be like, oh, you know what? That's on. I'll watch it. Except maybe Man of Steel. Maybe. And that's a stretch. The rest of them are all ass. Complete butt cheeks. Tell me I'm wrong. Shazam?
See, I would have said I still think Aquaman is like the best movie they've made. Man of Steel is trash.
I can't argue that it isn't, but it's again, they're all bad. It's
Man
just
of Steel is
bad.
where Kevin Costner plays Ben Reilly, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, Kent.
Don't save me.
Yeah. You could clearly save me, but yeah, I'm gonna say no, because with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, I know. It's bad.
The
The fight scenes are cool. All right.
300?
That's not extended, sir.
There we go.
Ghost
World.
Yeah.
V for Vendetta.
Yeah, right. Hey,
here we go. That's DC, there they go.
Those are DC movies.
But I said DC extended. Those are DC extended.
Those worlds are way extended in my world. So
I mean, again, some people will tell you this new Suicide Squad movie is good. I ain't see it and ain't planning on it.
Some people say cucumbers taste better pickled.
And then Peacemaker's getting a TV show.
Oh, speaking of, I watched that trailer.
Oh, okay. No. Motherfucker, you said that you ain't said shit. Hold on. It's on here. You ain't said shit. I didn't watch it because I was like, what the fuck? I ain't watching no Peacemaker.
So I'll warn you in advance. Apparently Deadpool is in the Peacemaker show.
Damn it. Here we go.
John Cena's made a deal with El Diablo, man.
No,
that part.
He made a deal with new Zack Snyder. Who makes these movies? The Guardians of the Galaxy guy?
James.
Yeah,
somebody.
James Gunn. Yeah, he made a deal with James Gunn. So we have Vigilante, which is interesting and a good depiction. But yeah. Yeah, you're gonna miss out because of the dialogue, but he's got a wacky team with him.
Man in the chair.
We've missed extra nothing, sir.
You don't have to shoot people out. Yeah.
Vigilante. So this is Deadpool.
Yeah, Vigilante is today the part of Deadpool will be played by Vigilante.
Hey, if you can't beat him, steal him. Jeez. And of course, the black people
This
are
is
just
awful. Yeah,
are
sassy
just
black person.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna pay a white dude $10 million to make this movie and just surround him with minorities
just
and
mhm.
just to show how woke
just
we
the
are.
woke.
Yep.
Oh, nice haircut.
No.
He's the new
Look,
And
I
he was
love.
and spoiler alert, he was the fucking villain in
and
Suicide Squad
Suicide
2.
Squad.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
The
Oh, okay.
Suicide Squad, sorry.
Well, you're right. He was the doinker.
Well, I mean, honest. I mean, I haven't had any respect for him since he lost whichever Bella he was with, because whatever he went afterwards is going to be a downgrade.
Well, I mean, we've been hating on John Cena here. I mean, I enjoy him as a performer,
A wrestler, yeah.
and you know, and there are some of his movies where you know he's
John
just the
Cena?
weird, ridiculously buff guy.
Yeah.
I enjoy that, but not. I don't know. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's no Dwayne Johnson. I mean, let's kid
or
ourselves here.
Or what, Hulk Hogan?
No, he's
as an
better than
hey,
Hulk Hogan.
Hey, hold up, sir. That's just insulting.
Hulk Hogan is not talented.
Right,
if they made a
as
Peacemaker show with Hulk Hogan in it, it would, no, that would not work.
Hey, unfortunately I did watch that shit. It came on at 12 o'clock in the morning with the boat. But,
Thunder in Paradise.
I think that was right. Yeah.
Statute of limitations, sir.
I did watch it. It had Jack Lemmon's son in it.
Statute of limitations.
I watched it.
Yeah, I got again. This is a show called The Marvel Hacks. I got nothing. Like, okay, hey, Batman might be good. I will catch it on USA when it comes. Yeah. Channel anymore? I will catch it on TNT when it's on TNT. There's no way in hell I would see that movie. Get the fuck out of here. Nope. Sorry, DC fandom. Nope. Sorry, not me. All right. Anyway, moving on. Marvel. Hey, back to Marvel. Hey, now we'll get happy again. Marvel announced this week that they're
pushing.
Yeah, will we?
Yeah. Marvel's pushing all their movies back. Everybody just got bumped down a rung, essentially. So if your movie was on this particular date, you just got pushed down the ladder. I'm not going to go over the dates because it's just too many damn movies. Essentially moving now from 4 movies a year to 3, which is kind of a lot still too. But the 2 biggest issues of that whole thing, one, still no XMen and still no Fantastic Four. Neither one. So that's an issue. And I got 2 questions for you. One, are both of those franchises so fucking toxic that Disney's like, we need excessive amount of distance between when those movies came out? And then 2, is this just the WWE punishing the WCW wrestlers? And we're not gonna make your movies on this merger. Yeah, we know you're there, but you're still about to job out to everybody that's on this roster. So no, thank you. You don't get a movie. Help me out.
No, I think this really just comes down to production problems in the modern world, the COVID world. I think they had so much stuff in the pipeline that it's just hard to sort of switch back into that and get the machine working towards it again. Because I mean, they could certainly spend the money and put the manpower, but you can't release too much content, right? I guess. I don't know. It seems like 4 or 5, 6 maybe too much, but you could be putting out 5, but it seems like they're backing down on that. But I think it's just the challenges of production at this point. I wouldn't read a whole lot into it. I think it's this weird thing where they finished, they busted their nut, and then they were like, well, we got to do something completely different. They put together this whole phase 4 of also rans, and we're going to see how that goes. And that's coming along, I guess. And then we'll see where it goes from there. So I think it's just a production issue.
Anybody seen Shang-Chi? Anyone? Beavis?
Well,
Brother Beavis.
I mean, I would have caught it like between then and now. I would have found like a random night where like, hey, I'm not doing anything. Let me go out. It's still in theaters or whatever. But as soon as they said it's going to be on Disney Plus on November 3rd, I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, same. I didn't even know it was going to be out on November 3rd. And
I don't know if that's the date, but it's coming sooner rather than later. And I'm like,
yeah, for sure.
You know, I can wait.
Hutch, are X-Men and Fantastic Four just toxic?
Yeah.
I think
that's why I think they are toxic. The cast that they had was probably the best looking cast they could probably ever produce. You got to find what age group are you going to do this again at? Young, medium, old,
medium old.
Are we going to see? You talk about seeing Joker again. We're going to see Magneto again. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you're jumping ahead in content, so hold that thought.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But let's be real though. If they did X-Men right, that is an absolute license to print money that would make us go, these Avengers bitches. I mean, Avengers was not in any way the flagship of Marvel that became what it is in the MCU. That was the only product, that was the only property they hadn't pimped out yet. And they made lemonade out of lemons. Yeah. X-Men, if they do it right.
Okay, I agree with you about it being able to make money, but they can't slow build X-Men like they did of the Avengers. You can't give them like solos, like, oh, the Storm movie. Like, ain't nobody going to see that shit.
No.
Like, oh shit, I was definitely wanting to see her steal shit in Cairo. You know, they only have really one character that could carry a solo movie, and we seen that shit. But that wasn't very good.
But I don't think they necessarily need to do that. They could, I don't even know how much they evolve the team. I mean, just have a team and just instead of making the solos, just make 3 X-Men movies the same team and then evolve it into a different team and evolve it into, because they can evolve. I think they can evolve an X-Men team more organically than they can evolve the Avengers
team. I do agree with. I don't know.
You can't build. Yeah, maybe that's the issue is like you can't do 3 a year because it's the same cast. That's fair.
But you would think at some point in time we would have gotten. I mean, what's the Sony merger or the Fox merger? That's been at least 2 years now. At some point there would have been like, hey, we're gonna, a casting. Hey, we're gonna, star so and so. I mean, something, anything. So I don't know.
I mean, somebody's pitching these things, but like you said, is Gambit gonna be on this team?
Yeah, you're jumping ahead on content. So hold that thought. Yeah, it's gonna come up again.
But with the Fantastic Four, I'm still not convinced that translates. I don't think the reason that the earlier version sucked is entirely because they did it wrong. They weren't great for sure, but by the same token,
that's just made of rocks.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that the Fantastic Four translate into what anybody wants to see now.
It can be done. You gotta make Dr. Doom super badass.
See, that's part of the problem.
Dr. Doom has got to be
he can't be their problem. He can't just be their problem. He'd have to be a problem for everybody on a Thanos-like level.
But
underneath, he could do it.
They almost have to like introduce Dr. Doom in an Avengers movie, and then bring the Fantastic Four in as the answer to Dr. Doom.
Yeah, we know him
at the United Nations. Yeah, do it. You could have done it.
I don't know. I just borrow Hutch's expression, like, are we going to get these movies before we're crossed arms?
Yeah.
And like it's getting. You just gave me movies through 2023, and ain't none of them are Fantastic Four or X-Men movies. So that's kind of fucked up.
I think Fantastic Four is easier in a shared universe. I'll say that.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to it here in a little bit, but let me get through this. The Eternals, that movie had its premiere this week. Speaking of people that nobody knows about, there was a thing on freaking the internet. Somebody posted, it was like, yeah, this Jack Kirby, man, I don't know about him or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, that motherfucker got dragged so hard. It was just like, oh my God, he got dragged so hard. I was like, oh my God, delete your life or your account, one of them, because this is not going to be good for you. But the early reviews seem to like, hey, it's a beautiful looking movie. The cast is beautiful. I saw Salma Hayek on the red carpet. I was like,
I can watch that.
how you doing? Yeah, I mean, I saw Richard Madden was like, you know, so I like, I totally get that. Great cast, all that. I can't see me seeing that in the movie theater unless my daughter drags me. That's just not happening. Either y'all going to see that in the movie theater?
I might.
Yeah.
For free.
For me, again, it's like if I catch I could go catch that tonight, maybe. But the question for me is like, what purpose does it serve?
Yeah.
Does it bring in Galactus? Does it bring in this? Why is this movie being made? And that's not been evident. I think they're fighting CGI monsters in all the trailers. I mean, all the prior Eternal stories have been like somebody's going to make a heel turn, whether it's Droog or Sprite, which whatever. Like, I just don't know what it serves. And the trailers, right, or the bumpers, I guess, that have been leaked are not thrilling. And the fact that they're not even really getting Black Knight in the movie, yeah, whatever. And also the other thing is, like, I'm not sure the stink of Game of Thrones is off of them yet. So I don't know. I don't know if we're ready for anything that features 2 Game of Thrones people. So
yeah, it's gonna be. I just, again, I know a little bit. I don't know a lot. I'm like, where does this fit into what we just watched for the past 10 years? Oh, it doesn't.
Years.
All right, well, I'm straight. So, Hutch, you said you might get somebody invited you to the early screening. You're gonna go.
I'm so far. I think I'm gonna see it. I think. It won't pale by the time I see it. It might be on damn Disney, but whatever.
No, 45 days. You're good. It ain't gonna be.
But I mean, would I
February.
go if me personally go spend whatever X? No.
Yeah, I just don't have any strong feeling about it, like one way or the other.
If I in all my comic books that I collected, the Eternals were, they're like, they would be in them Avenger books, and that would be the only way I would look at them usually.
Yeah, I had something I've talked about, the random collection of books in my basement that's prompted. I had some of them with Makari in it, but beyond that, I'm not sure.
Right. It's raining Eternals. I remember that episode of the Avengers or something. And and that was whatever. The Eternals, they're there. They've been there in the Marvel universe. They're super powered. They show up. They fight the Kree or something. And then or the Sentry or something, and then they leave.
I mean, they've opened up the universe or world or whatever, which is fine to have this. It's just, maybe I'm speaking for me, maybe I'm speaking for random freaking Marvel fan. It's like, okay, cool, but when is Iron Man showing up? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who is gonna show up in this movie that like I know and recognize that's gonna make me pop? And I don't know that that's the case. Like, it just seems like just a bunch of random people with random powers that I've never heard of. I don't know who the audience is for that. I mean,
you got to bring in new people, man. Like, you don't got to. You don't got to, but everybody can't play Captain America, Iron Man. You got to do something.
Yeah, I feel like this movie is going to have a tremendous amount of plot conveyed through dialogue, which is the hallmark of a bad movie.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, exactly right.
I told Big Hutch before we got on, like, for whatever reason, I'm more curious and interested about this than Shang-Chi, which I don't know why. I don't know. It feels like there's
don't say the word.
Yeah, well, no, I said I don't know if that makes me racist or not.
Oh,
I don't know.
it probably
the
not.
closer. The closer.
I'm not racist. I'm not racist. I don't want to see that shit. I fuck that. I mean, I don't like the character. Like, it's just I have no.
I had some of his comic books.
I'm sure I've read a bunch of too, and he was just in a Domino comic book that I thought was really good. But he was a supporting character with Domino.
This is martial arts. I do martial arts. I don't get a movie.
Hey, that was a march.
That was close.
Yeah, that was close.
All right. So, anywho.
I mean, I think Eternals. On the one hand, you would say like, oh, there could be some good world building there, but there's not really. This is not going to be like a Jack Kirby exhibition. Like, even in that terrible Inhumans, just disaster on ABC, there were a solid 4 to 5 seconds where you saw some of the sets and you're like, oh wow, that looks kind of Kirby-esque, before they stripped everyone of their costumes and their powers and then just had random people running around on the set in Hawaii.
It's lost.
Yeah. Also, actually, I've been toying with like, should I expose my daughter to the first season and never show her the last episode and then just pretend it didn't ever happen again?
Don't do it.
God, what a disaster. Like,
bad robot.
I mean, like, at least we got 6 good seasons out of Game of Thrones. Like, the loss was the inverse. We had like 1 great season and 6 terrible seasons versus Game of Thrones. We had like 6 good seasons and 1 disaster.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something that we've talked about on this podcast with everybody that's been on it before. Man, people be starting shows and don't know how to finish them.
Yeah,
it's a really good idea. How you gonna end it? Oh fuck, I have no idea. How about that? But this is a really good idea to start. All right, let's get to this clickbait article to close out the night here from the Nerdist. I'll show the article here. I think I can get that.
We are now bottom feeders.
Yes, we are just leaning into the clickbait here.
Clickbaiting on clickbaiting.
Yes. How the XMen changed the Marvel universe. And again, shout out to Cyber Spectre. They were like, hey, I'd love to see what Brothascomics thinks about this. And so there was just like a list of things after XMen 91 or that issue came out. We went over those books, all of them, the Jim Lee short-lived era. We talked about the artist last week in the clickbait article that came out from before. So this one is going to talk a little bit about some things that they think would have or happened because of those particular issues. So we'll kind of go through them a little bit. I don't know the share, but we'll kind of take it on our own little kind of spot here. So the first one was like Jim Lee became a superstar. Like, we knew that. We talked about that on the artist part. We had really no issue with, not real issue with him being the #1 artist based on that stupid article or whatever. But, I think his biggest influence is probably the people that he inspired to do shit just like him. The Will Spatacios and all those types of things. Like, I have any real issue with him being the #1 artist and people thinking that. So, that's fine. Until he became a big ass sellout like the rest of them. Sold his Wildstorm imprint to DC because, whatever. So, yeah, that's it. All right.
Are you trying to show that article still? Because you're not.
I'm not. No, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. All right. 2. Here's where we got to get into this. The return of Magneto to iconic villain status. Okay. So I was sort of not reading at this particular time because college student and broke.
I feel like, did you jump into the middle of this list?
No, I think that was 2.
#1 was the single best-selling comic of all time, right?
Yeah, I just skipped that.
And then #2 was the X-Men animated series.
Oh, wait a minute. Did I jump around? Oh, yeah. I did.
Where did House of Pain?
Sorry
Jump
about that.
around.
Right. Jumped around. Thank you. All right. So, yes. It made X-Men, the animated series, possible. Okay. Very true. Anybody doubting that? Okay.
No.
It's absolutely true.
That's a positive. They totally lifted those outfits and not exactly the team, but very close. And absolutely. And that is definitely a positive X-Men #1.
Yes, for sure. Well, Hutch doesn't like.
Yeah, but
Private X-Men. Probably
Now that's fair. Pride of the
That's
X-Men
fair.
was a much better, would have been a much better jumping off point.
Yeah,
And actually
sure.
in this article, they talk about how like the individual who was behind trying to get the cartoon off the ground had been trying for like 10 years and
Right.
didn't make it with Pride of the X-Men.
Wait a
And this
minute.
was the way,
Just start counting
Right,
back.
so-
Go, wait a second.
Right. So I don't know.
Other than
I'm
the
giving
White
my
Queen
doubts.
throwing force bolts, and Toad actually being in a comic. Yeah, Pride of the X-Men would have been a much better jumping off point.
I mean, the animation, the everything, just it all worked. And again, I don't get it started, man. Jesus, 35 years of anger. All right, so the return of Magneto to iconic villain status. I wasn't reading books then, but here's the problem: like bringing Magneto back, it's just the Doctor Doom problem that you keep bringing him back and you keep pushing him to the top of the card as your top heel in the promotion, and it pushes other people down, and people get sick of seeing like Magneto. Like it just do. Like tell me I'm wrong.
No, in the Claremont documentary, they explicitly state this was a decision that was driven down by the corporation, which is what drove Claremont off the title. And he had close to 100 books to turn Magneto face, essentially.
Yes.
And have him as a tweener, and which
Cool
is really
heel.
like all the books that we've read, like all the modern books with like, you have a team with like the White Queen, Magneto, Ileana, Juggernaut, like everyone's a tweener.
And
so
Sabretooth.
and Sabretooth. It was like, it literally like that, the way they had handled Magneto and left him sort of in the middle was like the imprint for how they built sort of the modern teams in any number of storylines.
Right.
And this was definitely downward directed, broke up the band. And as much as when we read this was like, this is great and we like this Magneto and the way he deals with the acolytes is great, and you can still see his motivations coming through. Initially, I think it was handled well, but I don't think the fact that he became a villain again is a great thing to come out of X-Men #1.
I just think that it's wound up just becoming like you come over reliant on him, and I think that wound up going on for a very long time, really, and then till they freaking kill him off, and then and then they bring him back again.
Zorn.
Oh god damn it. Yeah.
Zorn.
Yeah, just
or
god
clone or whatever.
Yeah,
that's what happened to back to wrestling. Ric Flair was fighting the Brooklyn Brawler there. He was. I mean, it was like, oh, they rang my bell again. Let me go out here and do some whatevers.
Man, golly. All right.
But it's Magneto. Like, I mean, hey, if Batman comes out, you gonna see the Joker. They're simpatico.
I just
they gonna bring back Dr. Ock for Spider-Man, ain't they?
No, that's fine. I just the over reliance on some of those characters that don't think that they do the books any good. It doesn't do anybody
the
movies any good. Well, no, nobody wanted to see that, but Jim Lee. So yeah, that's fine. All right, so he became a superstar by Jim Lee. We skipped over that. Number 4, the return of the original 5. So though the original 5 X-Men come back. All right, so I've been saying and I've been screaming from the top of the roof that when those movies come back or when the X-Men come back, if we're not crossed on, it'll be tied to Krakoa. Like I just feel it in my bones or whatever. But if you were going to restart these movies, are you starting with the original team? Are you starting with Giant Size X-Men #1? Like, where would you start it?
With the original.
A mix. What era would you start? You will start with the Grant Morrison era. Like what era? I know. That's supposed to be like I'll throw a freaking.
Well, if you started Krakoa, then it's gonna be everybody's gonna be at that place, or at least they'll be jumping
Well,
around
there'll
in the
be a
background.
standard. There's going to be a standard team of 5 or 6 folks. Do you use the original people like you have in the logo there, giant size? Do you use the X-Men 91 group, which is kind of a little bit of a mix of both?
I mean, I think that, they kind of had to deal with this already with the X-Men movie, and they did a team that was a combination, right? They took a lot of the most popular, but I would probably expand it to include like Colossus and Nightcrawler. I think the real twist is, how do you get Rogue to where she is now, without having to figure out how she got there, because she's such a mainstay now, but it's such a route to get there. I think that's one of the problematic things. I don't think you can go with this team. I mean, there's a certain nostalgia to the original 5, and the significance here was they were active in the comics through X Factor, but for a variety of reasons they hadn't crossed over, and so this brought them back into the mansion, back into the core teams and things like that. I think there's a certain nostalgia, but we've talked on a number of occasions how at least 3 of these characters are complete trash, to be generous. So I don't know that this is necessarily a virtue of X-Men #1, but there is a certain cachet to the original 5.
Hutch,
I won't deny that.
Hutch, if you,
but I would say I would go back to another one of the books you tried to rope me into, the new X-Men, where they came back from the time or whatever.
That was great.
That was legit. That was a story worth telling.
Yeah.
How do you get there though?
Yeah, new X. Yeah, that's yeah. Hutch, I'm saying so, or do you, like I said, there's there's fewer and fewer freaking hardcore fans. So do you lean on freaking the X-Men 91 group team to, because that's what people are familiar with. Like, oh, I'm watching this on Disney Plus. This is the team and I'm supposed to be seeing, and I want to see these people. Nobody wants to see Jubilee, but like the other people that are on that team.
Well, granted, the original 5, there's only, and I guess there was only one colored person.
I think that's person of color.
But
and he's blue.
Right.
He wasn't blue then.
Right. So now the character that I don't want to see no more, I think, might be Xavier. That's the character that kind of, I don't know if he makes it into the modern era.
My note in here says too, like, do you Spider-Man this shit with X-Men and just like start this shit like everybody knows what's going on? We don't need to see Xavier. We don't need to see Uncle Ben die. We don't need to, like, you just like, look, motherfuckers, there's a bunch of dudes, they got powers, they live in a mansion, and they fight motherfuckers. That's it. Deal with it and go from there.
I think you totally can.
I don't think you need the origin story. Like, I really
because
don't.
they were born. That's their origin.
That's it. Yeah, we got powers. We fight people. Deal with it. Like, we don't need to see Uncle Ben die again. We don't need to see Xavier. Like, oh, he was our leader. He started the team or whatever. Now he's dead and shit, or he's fucking Lilandra in space. Yeah, he left. We don't see him no more. Fuck it. Yeah.
I do want to say, since I have the picture up,
that's
I was saying that too. Like, putting in Professor X specifically to get him to Onslaught to be a villain in one of these crossover, when you have all the universe, that's a story worth telling in a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And particularly if you've introduced him and then there's this other character and they have not yet revealed who it is. I mean,
yeah.
Anyone that's had any contact with the source material is going to know what that is. But
we'll pop. But other people were like, what? Who? Why? So, all
right. I did want to add, because I have the picture up in the article, for a variety of reasons, the original, the green and yellow Marvel Girl costume is always a hit with me, and as much because just the switch back in 136 is just, which is, maybe the greatest comic book of all time.
Yes.
Just that switch, but just the depiction of it, this particular drawing, the cosplay potential, just that Marvel Girl costume is just,
it has its moments. Yeah, it's chef's kiss. I agree. Yes, no, I have no problem with that. I mean, again, shit, give me Jean Grey. She should be in any version. Give me all of that. Like every redhead you want to give me, perfectly fine with it. But
Not every redhead.
Yeah.
come on,
Not every, not all of them.
well, not
Sansa wasn't
Siren.
great.
I don't want Siren. No. I didn't mean it that. I meant the character in general. All right. Number 5.
No,
it
I'm
was
saying
the-
Sansa as Jean Grey was not a
I
great.
understand. No, well, Sansa's not great in any way, shape, or form. Hutch, what is that picture? That's awful.
I'm finding them.
Really? Yeah, it's bad. All right. So on number 5 was the end of the Claremont era. Again, we went over this. He got out early, very early. Go ahead, brother Beavis.
This is not a positive. And the
No.
way they've worded this,
Yeah.
that Claremont wanted to go in some crazy direction while Jim Lee wanted the classic feel. Bullshit.
Yeah. Did Jim
Bullshit.
Lee write this? Yeah.
Yeah. Claremont wanted to continue to evolve the characters and had, thoughtful arcs that would have considered where they'd come from.
Mm-hmm.
We saw in the 25 issues that followed that nobody had any fucking idea what to do with the characters.
Yeah.
So the idea that Claremont had the worst idea of how to put this together is absolute bullshit.
Yeah. Jim Lee gave us people staring at the camera. That was one of his lasting legacies. And Beast with his mouth wide open. But that's what he gave us. So yeah. So I mean, like, come on. We all know that he couldn't write a story to save his life. My note says I would say that he leaves, and then Marvel chased the Claremont crack hit for years. I mean, they chased it for years. They got rid of him and then chased it for years.
Yeah.
Scott Lobdell, well, I mean, he's really the one that's going to wind up coming on and doing most of the books for the majority of the 90s or whatever. And they chased it right until the Grant Morrison era, who just shit on it and kept it going. That was it. And I was good at that point in time too. I'm like, well, I guess this is not what we're doing anymore. We're not telling these long arching stories. We're just telling these stories to, sell a couple of comic books or whatever. One of my notes on here did say about Jim Lee, maybe, is it on here? Maybe it was one of these. Oh yeah, it is one of the others. So never mind. All right, number 6. It said it inspired the video game phenomenon. Now, I sent a text out to y'all earlier today that was like, okay, yes, the XMen arcade game, like that game was fun. That's awesome. We spent many, many quarters, trying to play that game. Colossus, bro. Yeah, that's great. And you can buy that shit at Walmart now if you wanted to. You can own it and have it in your home.
So what's up with you get to use your mutant power and it takes all your energy and then you get fucking killed seconds later?
Put more quarters in.
More quarters, sir.
I'm like, I would love to use my mutant power on you,
but I'm just gonna punch and kick. Yeah.
So that was definitely no, we got to drive to wherever this is and play it.
Yes,
now,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, and I've seen it in places, at a retro place one time. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, but Colossus was Hutch's boy. Colossus was definitely the highlight of that game.
Bro.
And he had the best power, because that would be the worst thing. Like, you use your power and you fucking miss or some bullshit, and then you're dead. Right. But Colossus would at least wipe the whole board.
Yeah.
Correct. But he was slow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not a news here that I'm not good at video games. And so, like, I remember Brother Beavis. I think it was on Super Nintendo. There was some X-Men. It was an X-Men and Spider-Man.
I'm prepared for this conversation, sir.
Yeah, that fucking game was hard as hell.
Yeah.
And you are good at video games, and you were struggling with this. I was like, man, I ain't playing this shit. I'm gonna go drink.
Who you saying is good at video games?
Brother Beavis is good at video games.
He is?
Yeah.
Well, in that era.
In that era. His thumb was fucked up now.
On the Nintendo Entertainment System, there was the Uncanny X-Men game, which was a top-down view. I have it up here right now. Colossus, Cyclops, Iceman, Nightcrawler, Storm. You had to go through 4 levels with it. You would have 2 players. And then after the 4 levels, you had to know there was this code on the back of the printed box that you had to click to get into the 5th level to go fight Magneto. But the box was misprinted, so the code that it was suggesting wasn't actually the code. So I never played the last fucking board of
Oh
that
my
level.
god! Wow.
And that started the fetish of like some sort of processor reset in games, because there was the X-Men game on Genesis. Was it on? I think it was on Genesis. After you got to the end, you had to press the reset button to get to. It wouldn't reset the game. It would boot you into the next level. Like normally
What?
every other reset function. So that was the thing they did with the X-Men game. They had this reset fetish where you had to actually use reset to advance the game. But so I played that and never got to the end of the Magneto board. Then there was actually a PC version, the Fall of the Mutants game. I don't know if you guys ever played this, but you would have like the whole like the Fall of the Mutants lineup, and you had to go like scene by scene and find like 3 members of the
Warlocks?
the Freedom Force
Mm.
and defeat them. But you had like you had to like order your people, so you would go in, you're like, oh shit, you have Dazzler and this is Avalanche, and Avalanche is in that ass. So like it was really hard to play. So I never beat that. It was interesting,
like a
but
card game.
yeah, pretty much.
Wasn't there a Spider-Man and the X-Men?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And that was a great game. Spider-Man. So it
versus
was
Murder World or something.
Spider-Man / X-Men
Man.
Arcade Revenge
Man,
on
right.
Oh, okay,
Genesis
yeah.
and Super NES. The
Okay.
hardest fucking game ever created. And I'm proud to say I defeated it at great personal expense. You know, there's brain cells and years of my life gone.
Yeah, relationships were damaged.
But yeah, it was so it was interesting because it was like you had like as I recall, you had the Wolverine level was Juggernaut was chasing you, yeah.
Oh yeah,
And, and so you had to just like run and slash through everything.
Right.
Cyclops was on like a rolling cart, and he had to like blast stuff and jump around. Storm was underwater, and Gambit was like had to go up in this whole thing. And then I can't even remember what Spider-Man would do, but you had to go through like two boards with each of them. That was just ridiculous. It was insane. The most insanely difficult game of all time. And then some last level. But yeah, that was that. There was the Genesis game that you had to reset, and then they had X-Men 2 on that, which was like I think it was the Clone Wars, and so it had like the technovirus or whatever. I just remember the Beast, for whatever reason, Beast was like the cheat character on that game, like because he could stick to walls and he hit hard or something like that. But I think I beat most of that with the Beast. I skipped all the fighting games, and then X-Men Legends 2, phenomenal games, fantastic games. The basis for the one good Marvel Ultimate Alliance game they made, and the poor sequels that came after that. But X-Men Legends 2 is fantastic games.
Yeah, I remember I had X-Men Legends, and when I had moved in with Hutch there, when I moved to Georgia or whatever, that we wound up beating that. That was like what are we doing today? Take over the world, Pinky.
We do every day. All right,
time to take over the world. And so I know we went through that game and beat it because again, I'm not good. He's good. He's better than me. So between the two of us, he had dragged me across the finish line with that game. But I remember that game being really cool, and building characters, changing costumes or whatever. Like that was the part that I like. I want to earn that particular costume. But yeah, that was I think that for sure, obviously that card. But some of this been this before the damn cartoon.
Some of this is before 1991.
So X-Men Legends was
X-Men Legends was it late
2004?
Early 2000.
Yeah. Before I had kids. Yeah, but like those Nintendo games had to be before that shit, right?
Oh, Nintendo. So the first X-Men game came out in '89.
Okay,
so high school era.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Arcade's Revenge, that was 92. That was college.
Okay, so right after
that game, that's got to be the hardest game of all time.
And then I know like they've continually had games like for PlayStation or whatever, like latter PlayStations. There was some game, it looked like, I don't remember what it was called. I never read it. The shit was at Redbox all the time, so I just figured it was ass. and you know, I mean, I think the cartoon obviously spawned everything, and then the video game is just, you know, coming from that. So like I
Well,
totally understand.
the vast majority of the games that I didn't talk about are all just
awful.
fighting games,
Fighters.
like Street Fighter games, and that's
Mm.
I am not good at those.
Yeah.
I used to be good at like puzzle this shit out
Yeah.
and figure out how to do it. Probably not anymore. The RPGs were great because
Yeah.
anything that's got like a completionist aspect of it that I just like the OCD kicks in and I got to finish it.
You gotta finish it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like those Lego games. Oh,
yeah, that's too much.
I can't do that anymore.
My
You beat the
thumbs.
game in 12 hours and then you have to play it in like another 3,000 to finish it.
Yeah, X-Men Legends. If you're on the YouTube, I'll try to pull up there. Yeah, that game was great. I do remember that one.
And
Awesome.
I want to say Legends 2 was even better. X-Men Legends 2 was so good, and they just it became Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which is a fantastic game, but
the first
MUA
one,
2 and 3 are just they got worse and worse.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah, I knew y'all would be on that because y'all's video gaming and whatnot is a lot better than me. All right, so the last one there was variant covers. Well, and I said we could definitely have done without that era that came from that. Like,
I was trying to find the
cool
quote from Renee and Mallrats about variating chromiating covers, but not a virtue.
No, it is not. It is one of the worst things that came out of that particular era. And it's still, I don't think it still permeates now too. And it made it worse because now, we only printed, one out of every 100 covers. And so now they become a chase, and then people are chasing them, and then they become worth a ridiculous amount of money. But
do they? I mean, they do. They
do.
do. I don't give a rat's ass.
Well,
and
but
you can't afford them.
Well, thinking about it like this, back in the day, in our day, when they did do a chase cover like that, they still charged you the cover price. It wasn't like, like, oh, there's a chase cover in there, you got to pay $12 for this damn book just to get that cover. It's like, no, like, you just randomly got the different cover, whatever. Like,
do you have any chases?
I'm sure I have some somewhere.
Some battle chasers.
Yeah. It got so bad with the damn alternate covers. This is probably just me. Like, I've been to a comic book store, and maybe I take like I didn't go like for a month or whatever because I just get to the store. I'm like, oh shit, that X-Men book is there. I grab that motherfucker. This is the same goddamn book. I just brought the different cover.
I was gonna say the same thing. I bought a second copy of one of that stupid ass Watchmen series that just came out because I'm like, oh, the new one's out. Oh no, it's second cover. It still hasn't come out.
Because you're paying attention, but you're not. Like, oh, it's in the spot that I would normally pick up my book, so I'm just gonna take it from here, and it's the goddamn same book. I'm like, you know what? That's not a good thing. Like, variant covers is not a good thing now, and it's also freaking. Was catfishing too. It was like, you see this freaking awesome cover. It's like, oh shit, that's gonna be awesome. And you get in the book, and I drew that shit. It's all stick figure. What the fuck, man? Like, that's not cool either. So I hate variant covers like with a passion now. Like, I used to not mind it, but I can't stand a variant cover now. So anywho, all right. So yeah, man. So yeah, Shay, shouts out Cyber Spectre. Hope you enjoyed that. We just went through that, especially the video game portion, because now this is gonna be my day tomorrow. We're watching fucking beats for all those games on YouTube. Like, somebody put that up there. I'm gonna literally be sitting on my phone during my lunch duty and just watching people beat these games because that's just the best. How are they gonna put a cover on there and then have the wrong print for to enter the code, sir? Like, how did that happen?
What was 1989 the number?
Where the game's made?
Yeah, well, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, related, unrelated. That damn, what was that shit? That Raiders of the Lost Ark game on Atari. Like, there was no beating that shit. Like, there was just no beating it. Like,
because that X-Men game wanted to have like a contra code to get you in the last, but they fucked up the code.
Right.
I just wonder people was just like, yeah, like I'll make this shit, they ain't gonna be able to beat it, and just drive themselves fucking crazy.
And
trying
if
to
you
do it.
like, if you were to have rented it at Blockbuster, which, so kids back in the day, you could go to.
Yes.
You weren't getting the box, so you didn't have the instructions, the bad instructions for how to even get to the last battle.
Right. No instruction. Right. You have no instructions on most of the games. It's like, whatever happens, happens.
Awful. Yeah. Redbox don't even rent the games no more. Like the video games they used to.
They don't rent them no more, right?
Well, streaming in it.
Right, because all the game systems now are going to try and want you to do digital shit.
Yeah, for sure.
One more thing the internet ruined.
Yeah, write that article.
And put it on the internet.
That.
Don't make me cough. All right, so yeah, that'll wrap up this kind of elongated Blerd Notes. We're going over that, but y'all might be seeing a little bit more of this because, like I said, there's just news and news after news. Like I just saw something before we got started that there's a She-Hulk cartoon or a She-Hulk comic book coming out because there's a fucking She-Hulk TV show that's coming out very soon too. Like it's just all of those types of things are just leaking and leaking and leaking, and Disney Plus was like, I got an email from Disney Plus the other day. They was like, hey, your rate is going up for next year. I was like, oh shit, it was $10. I was like, suckers, I would have paid more. I was like, damn, only $10. I was like, fuck that, that's fine. So, shit, we got, the Hawkeye.
They got to pay off Scarlett Johansson somehow,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. They got to pay $4 million or whatever it was. But yeah, man, we got, Hawkeye and girly Hawkeye coming out, and you have all these things coming soon, and I think this will be, kind of where we're living here for a little bit, as we kind of, get caught back, because we'll be perfectly honest with you, comics are shit. They are. There are not no good comics, but most of them are shit at this point. Like if you go to the comic book store and pick up a comic book, you better than me, because every time I go, I thumb through a book and I'm like, okay, and there's nothing that's gonna grab you and excite you and whatever. I got a note the other day on Facebook. It was like, hey, 2 years ago you did House of X podcast or whatever. I was like, and I was really excited about that. And they skeeted that all over the fucking wall, and that was it. Like I think that'd have been, that might have been the it for me in terms of modern comics. I thought you were gonna say something, sir.
I was just what was it? I forgot what I was going to say, sir.
Okay.
You never told me about House of X. You betrayed and murdered your father.
It's just that. There's just nothing. So whatever. All right. So anyway, as the XMen animated music starts to play us out, if you're listening to this on the podcast version, if you're listening to or watching us on YouTube, hi, goodbye. We'll see you guys in a week or so, hopefully. We'll see what's going on in the world of comics and all that. We've been getting close to that Eternals premiere, so these two are going to go and see it and then come back and tell us about it. So, because it won't be me. All right, so as we say goodnight, Brother Beavis, sign off.
Hey, this was a fun one. It's good to catch up with y'all, and I hope for the people who are listening, you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
For sure. Hutch, go ahead and sign off. That Magneto is really scaring me on the back there. It's just very intimidating.
That's the cover. Anyway, one of these days, Brother Beavis and the producer will like DC.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. We'll see everybody on the other side there. Peace, y'all.
Peace.